So today's episode should be pretty quick. The Mueller investigation completed at the beginning of the week, and everybody's been talking about that all week, which we won't get into because, again, we're talking about the donkey race. But we do have some good stuff to talk about. Really, one thing to talk about, and that is creepy Uncle Joe Biden. Yes, we all know. We've all seen the pictures that Joe Biden is kind of a creeper. And up until now, I had kind of discounted this fact because it was a known quantity and it didn't appear to be affecting his support. I mean, maybe it's just me and my bubble that most of the people that I know are pretty well politically informed. And maybe it is the case that a lot of those people in polls don't know about, these videos that show Joe Biden kind of being kind of creepy, not actually like sexual harassment maybe, but just like touching that certainly would make me I feel uncomfortable if he was touching me like that. Anyways, but this week a woman, you know, gave related an experience that happened to her where he touched her and he made her feel uncomfortable. And it was what was described as pretty much exactly what we see in a lot of these videos. So Joe Biden, he put out in a statement saying, well, we maybe interpreted the events differently. I never intend to touch anybody in a way that would make them feel uncomfortable, but the Me Too movement is good. I'm not going to read his exact quote because it's not too important. But then the woman, she says, I want him to acknowledge that what he did was wrong. And so I see this as a very significant problem for Joe Biden for two reasons. The first thing is that this is happening before he announced. He has not announced yet, guys. He's still kind of sitting on it. So to me, this isn't even necessarily like a coordinated attack. You would think that much like when a lot of these other guys announced, like particularly Beto, that as soon as he announces, then all of the dirt starts coming out from the other campaigns. But this is happening before he announced, which says to me that this woman really is just acting alone. And you have to wonder how many other people are going to be willing to go on record now saying that they felt uncomfortable. Because we know 100% that they're out there, because we have video of them. And again, I'm not saying that he's guilty of sexual harassment or that he's done anything illegal, but does it really matter at this point? Because the real question is, can the Democrat Party afford, if he is the nominee, to deal with this as a campaign distraction through the whole primary campaign? I'm not so sure that they can. And so that this is a grassroots thing happening before he's even announced, I think is really, really devastating to him. And I don't think that I think that this knocks him down so much. The biggest beneficiary to this is, of course, Cory Booker here, because he's still kind of the centrist, I guess, and somebody's going to need to step up on as the moderate in the party. But at this moment, I'm starting to think that the probabilities are starting to become a little bit more clear, because before it was like Joe Biden is the establishment candidate and everybody's going to try and knock him out. Now it's returned back to this idea that we've explored earlier, which is the far left socialist wing of the party versus the diversity wing of the party, as enshrined by Kamala Harris. I would have to say, I don't know, these guys kind of not quite. I think that Kamala Harris stands a better chance of winning than Bernie Sanders does right now. I'm not a Democrat, but if I was a Democrat, I would probably be pushing for Kamala to win, simply because she stands a much better chance of being able to defeat Donald Trump in a primary. This might not show up in polling very clearly yet, but I think that you're going to see, if Bernie Sanders really becomes as big of a deal in the primary this time as he was last time, I think that you're going to see huge backlash against the, what people perceive as the takeover of socialism or communism. And so, yeah, I think that that's the battle that we got going here. I mean, this isn't going to end Joe Biden right away. I think he probably will still announce, but man, it really, really hurts his chances. So yeah, that's kind of the way that I see it, and I don't really have much else to say. Of course, next week, we'll have lots of good stories, and we can kind of get a little bit more in depth, because now that we have a good idea of where the field is overall, now we can really start to get into the nitty gritty details of the campaign strategy, like where they're deploying their resources in specific states and things like that. So stay tuned, and in the meantime, stay profitable, friends.